Bonjour à tout le monde and welcome to another episode of On the Canvas. And on the Canvas today, we are discussing new media art. Due to the environmental global crisis that we are facing currently and the urgent need to protect our environment, new media art has become a necessity. For example, UNESCO has even endorsed the digital art heritage. And to really help us understand the advantages of using new media art, we are joined today by Phila Hillie, all the way from South Africa, and who has chosen digital art as a form of expression. Sisi, bonjour. How are you? Njani?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, Sissy, despite the fact that we're still on lockdown, but I'm doing well. How are you finding the confinement, the stage 4?
I think I'm at that stage now where I just want to take everything a day at a time.
Yes.
Just staying home and keeping my anxiety down, but slowly getting used to the new reality also. It's a weird
Slowly
balance.
getting
It's a
used to
fine
the new
balance.
reality.
Yes.
So, Pila, for those for people that who do not know who you are an architectural graduate. You are also a visual artist. You grew up between Johannesburg and the Eastern Cape, and you lived briefly in India. For that, I'm extremely envious. You were chosen by between 10 and 5 for their art acceleration program, and you've also worked with marks like with brands, sorry, like Converse in South Africa. Cici, can you please tell us why you decided to use digital art as your form of expression, and do you use other forms of material?
So originally I was mainly a painter, and I loved using oil paint. But oil paint and buying canvases and maintaining the paintbrushes and all of the tools I just found was so expensive
Mm.
to balance with buying materials for school and architecture and everything, because
Mm.
architecture also requires for you to buy a lot of material.
Mm.
So moving towards new media was more of a time decision and also an economic decision, just to save a bit more.
Oui.
And I found that because we were already using programs such as Photoshop and Illustrator for our presentations for architecture,
Mm-hmm.
it just was such an organic thing for me to also just play around on Photoshop. And
Mm-hmm.
then all of that playing around eventually led to kind of a look and feel that I was really into. So
Okay.
I decided, okay, I'm going to start posting this on social media. And without really expecting anything, it kind of, people started showing a lot of interest.
Mm.
And from there, the digital medium just kind of grew. But
Mm.
I think it was with artwork because I was getting frustrated with not having the time to finish my paintings and then not posting them. And the digital was just kind of like, let me just take a break, do something new, and
Yeah.
just happened to be something that I really enjoyed.
Excellent, excellent. And can you please tell us where your inspirations are coming from? Now, when I read that you lived in India, I could see the colors already where you got your colors, and the fact that you are from the Eastern Cape, I could also see that clay. A natural color from the Eastern Cape in your work, but as I'm going through the document, can you please let us know where your narratives are coming from? Because you've done quite a number of series, where your narratives are coming from, and the inspiration.
So with regards to the more culturally inclined pieces,
Mm-hmm.
um, the narrative the inspiration comes from my family.
Oui.
My family, because most of them had to move to Johannesburg for work opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
When I was born, I think they felt that, if we're gonna have a new generation, we'd
Mm-hmm.
like to pass on as much of our culture
Mm-hmm.
as we can onto her.
Mm.
So with my parents also, they are always just very strongly inclined with culture, and also just they were big on politics in South Africa. So
Yes.
just heritage and where you come from and what your family has done, they've
Mm.
always been big on that. And when I was growing up, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and she used
Mm-hmm.
to be a teacher. So she
Mm.
was big on teaching us about what we did, what, like, where we come from. She used
Yes.
to teach me how to bead in Zimbi,
Mm.
and also just she made us read every Sunday, just like
Mm.
the books all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of was ingrained in me. As much as I identify with being from Joburg, I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't ignore that every December, every other holiday, I'm
Mm.
always in the Eastern Cape. So I couldn't ignore that there's this part of me that's also very much ingrained in me. So I think
Mm.
doing the series that were more culturally inclined was kind of me saying to myself, like, this is who you are, and you can't
This is who
ignore it.
I am. Mm.
Mm. Like, this is a big part of who you are. This
Yeah.
is from when your parents teach you your clan names to everything, it kind of stays, and it kind of fell onto I poured that onto my artworks. Another
Mm-hmm.
big influence was I grew up in a family of very strong-willed women.
Oui.
so, so you know, I just, and a lot of the women in my family, like, they just had so many responsibilities,
Yes.
and just trying to take care of everyone. So
Mm.
in my series, I just wanted to have like women just being themselves and
Mm.
feeling free, and, you know, just, it's them holding their space. There's
Yeah.
nothing clouding them. Like, obviously there's themes of love and intimacy and stuff, but for the
Yes.
most part, it's just looking at the woman for who she is and not
Yes.
what, like, the influences around her, kind of a situation.
Mm. Mm.
And then because I studied architecture, I was really big on, well, the space element kind of influenced my artwork. And
I can see that. Yes.
they encourage you to put out the simplest but most effective design.
Yes.
So that element also kind of poured onto the artwork as well.
Mm.
So architecture definitely influenced,
Mm-hmm.
and color, space, form, traveling
Mm.
influenced it, and like you said, my stay in India definitely influenced it,
Mm.
by just color and being able to see multiple women, multiple stories. I think it
Yes.
just opened my mind and my color spectrum greatly. So
Into another level.
yes,
No,
definitely.
we can definitely see it in your work. Now, Sissy, for you who's been doing this now for a while and who's basically also making revenue out of your talent, I would like you to just take advise a young artist who's choosing digital art or who would like to choose digital art as a form of expression and also something that they can gain revenue from. And here I'm really looking for practical ways. What are the practical things that they can do to be able to know to get started and afterwards exhibit and showcase their works?
With me, social media helped me greatly. I think social media is a very important
A
tool for
powerful tool.
digital,
Mm,
powerful tool,
mm,
um, because that is where I started posting my work.
mm.
I mean, I have a website, but I mean, social media drives the people to the
To
website.
the
So
website. Mm,
yes, so
mm,
I think social media, I know it's hard as a creative to always be creating,
oui.
but when you do create, try get them out onto your social media channels. I
Mm-hmm.
think if you can create a collective body of work, like
Yes. Mm,
collection,
mm-hmm.
I think my followers responded better to that from what
Mm,
I've seen.
mm.
Also, um,
Because also I mentioned there's colorant. You know, it literally means that you're not posting one thing and the other day is another. So we don't know who you are. We can understand clearly
yes,
who you are because we can
yes,
see that there's some colorance. Maybe I'm
yes.
using the right word here.
Yes, definitely. And I think when you start pricing your work,
We.
you need to factor in that although you did this at home from your computer or wherever, collage, whatever medium. Printing is going to really take the bulk of your it's going to be what factors the most in your pricing.
Okay.
So printing, paper quality,
Yes.
because some people would like a thicker paper, and sometimes people will request that you print on a canvas. And I know canvas printing, it can start from 400, but if you find cheaper people, that's always better. And packaging, because when you deliver your art, if you're delivering just the unframed print, it can get damaged. So what you'd want is, if you can arrange for your own packaging, like get a system where you have like your own packaging available, I think that in the long term that cuts costs. Because I remember when I started printing and sending them, they would be like, we need to charge you extra. So you can't just do the 99 Rand Postnet to Postnet. Now we are bubble wrapping, we are covering. And also, because social media is so global, there will be people from other countries
as well. Exactly.
So I still am figuring that part out, but that is another part to
another challenge.
Once you put out that you're selling, like people are going to ask you.
It's very good.
Yes. And I think if you can get a domain on your website and sell from there, the sooner the better. But obviously that's like very dependent on your budget. Yes. So I put my email link everywhere and open my DMs to people who aren't following me also, so that people can approach me. And a website is very important though. I think for me, it helped with putting the narrative behind, narratives behind the collections and making myself a bit more accessible. I think it helped definitely with that. What else could I say? I think also like with market things, like there's very small things where you can start to approach people, like your local market, Saturday markets. You can approach them and be like, can I sell maybe 15 or something? Because you also don't want to overprint stuff. And also the next conversation you want to have is, how many of that collection am I printing?
What are you printing through?
Yeah, because then that also then starts to add value. And then maybe on social media, you can market it as, I have this many. But you also kind of need to gauge like how much are people liking
it as well.
You need to start looking at your social media insights, which also kind of, I had to switch my Instagram to like a business Instagram, just so you can, because those stats do factor in on, like, you start to see which artworks people like
the most,
style people like, because as much as you're an artist, now you've also opened yourself up to being a business.
True. So and I think that's quite important to understand, that the two must go hand in hand. Because you can't think just because you're an artist, you're going to neglect the aspect of being commercial. I think nowadays artists need to understand that these two must go hand in hand.
Yes, obviously you'll have like your posts where you're exploring and stuff like that, but you always need to go back to, sometimes you need to take a touch of what was successful and move it into something new, which I think sometimes is a struggle, like doing something commercially to get the buyers, and then doing something experimental because that's the,
you want to express your what you need to express at that moment.
Yes, so it's also about finding that.
The important thing is to have the balance, because you can't completely go commercial, because then you lose your soul, and one way or the other you might even find people who will do it better than you because it is commercial. The part is how you as an artist always are trying to get yourself, reinventing yourself, creating works that talk to you. So the balance is extremely important to have. What do you think?
And then for me, what I found was, because I was doing a lot of digital stuff, people started approaching me for like commissions, like personalized work. Now, this is completely up to you as to whether you want to open yourself up to doing other work for other people. But what I find is on my off days when I
mm,
don't really have that many sales from individual pieces, especially
mm-hmm.
now that times are changing
Oui.
and we don't really have like the luxury to
Mm,
buy artworks. I
mm,
find that doing commissions, logos,
mm,
pieces for people,
mm,
personalized portraits, that
mm,
also helps my sales.
mm.
So if you are wanting to be more of a business, you might want to look into that
Into that as well. Mm.
and also honing those skills, because doing art for other people is also like a different type of
Of art, of
like
expression.
and it's
Mm.
also like more collaborative. So I know some
Oui.
people aren't as open to that, but
Mm.
it is an option that's there for digital artists, and I do
Mm.
think that it can bring in a lot of success for you if that
Mm.
is what you're to. So
What
I
I'm
would
finding
definitely
out
say
what I'm finding out from what you're saying is that with being an artist that is able to manipulate your artworks digitally opens other forms of revenues that you would not have if you're only sticking to traditional painting. Am I getting you wrong?
I think for me, just over the years, I think doing the digital art has opened up more doors for me
Mm,
and has gotten me seen by more people that can give me like the next step to move up.
mm,
So for me, I think because it's so quick
mhm,
and you can put out so much of it at
mm,
once,
mm.
for me it did help. Whereas I think paint is still powerful. It's
Of
still a very
course.
powerful medium.
Mm,
It's just price wise
mm.
and production wise,
Production
time
wise.
wise,
Mm,
it can sometimes cost so much. And
mm,
digital, if nothing sells, you still have the file on
mm,
your computer.
mm,
Whereas with paint, it's like I made this painting
mm,
and I don't know if it's gonna sell or not, but it's
mm.
here. I love it, but so I think like both spectrums have their ebbs and
Pros
flows,
and
but they're
cons.
completely different from each
Mm,
other.
mm.
So it's like yeah, it is different, very
Thank
different.
you.
But
Thank
yeah,
you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Phila. This was really, really insightful into what new media art is. And even I, as an art dealer, it is a space that I'm entering into bit by bit. So thank you
mm.
so much for giving us your insight. And see you soon.
Thank you
Merci.
so much for having me. Thank you so much.